Welcome, beautiful goddesses, to Teach, Travel, Talk. I am Megan, and my mission, goal, and vision is to help guide you through the crazy journey of life and of being a human and having this human experience. Because until we realize that we are the creators of our reality, we can either make life very difficult for ourselves, or we can make our world incredible. But it's all about how we perceive our world and the world around us. So this is for you. Yes, you, the one listening, so that I can uplift and empower you to look within yourself and find that inner light, love, guidance, and intuition that will lead you to unbecome who the world told you to be and bring you back to who you were meant to be and who you were supposed to become in this life. So let's dive deep into conversations that will bring you teachable moments to implement throughout your daily life and to help reprogram the way we think. Hello and welcome back to this Tuesday's episode of Teach, Travel, Talk. This one I'm really excited about. I know that I keep saying that, but this one is something, it's one of my biggest passions, my biggest dreams, and that is traveling the world. But I don't want to just talk about me traveling the world. In this, I want to help you or help guide you into finding your passions in life and going after them. And this is my story of me discovering who Megan is and how traveling has helped me overcome many obstacles in my life. Now, traveling has not always been pretty, but it has always been worth it, let me tell you. And the biggest thing I want to say is that this podcast is for you guys and for me sharing my stories and keeping it 100% real with you, because I don't want you to think that traveling is always the greatest experience in the world. I want to share both sides of it and to realize that life is about the good and the bad, and finding that duality, finding that center, that connection, and finding that balance. And again, changing our perspective about a lot of things. When we are in these negative, bad situations, we can't see anything else. We only see the bad. We don't see the good in it. And like they say, when you go through something, maybe years from now, you'll realize why that certain thing happened. And when we become more mindful, we tend to be more open and receptive to finding those slivers of experience and teaching and understanding in those situations, because we can step out of ourselves and see that bigger picture and see, oh, is this a habit that I've gotten used to and that the universe is trying to break me out of that? Is this a pattern that I've been exhibiting for many years that I really finally need to get better at? And that is what life is about. Life hands you what you need at the exact moment that you need it. And for a lot of us, we keep repeating the same lessons, not actually seeing and taking those lessons and saying, I've learned it, now it's time to move on. I'm on for the next level. Let's teach me something new. And that is exactly what I did when I started traveling. became a lot more aware of who Megan was and who I wanted to be in this life and who I truly was. And so it was a lot of unbecoming what society had told me to be and more about who I wanted to be. And I always struggled with that. I always struggled with thinking I had to be this certain way, that I need to have this, go to college, have this great job, have kids, have a husband, have all of this. And it always didn't stick with me. I always feel like I wanted to break that mold. I wanted to be different because that wasn't me. And traveling really set me free from that. It's crazy how the biggest leap of my life 4 years ago was leaving the US, and in my head it was never looking back. And I will say this is one of my favorite things to talk about, and I don't get to talk about it enough because I genuinely only want to share this part of my life with people that are genuinely interested in it. Because a lot of people do try to ask me about it, but most of the time it's just, oh, what was your favorite place? Oh, how was it there? Ask me questions. I've been to over 20 countries, 21 countries. I can't just sit and spew everything I've seen, I've witnessed, I've learned in the last 4 years. It's just not. So for me, when I don't think people are very interested in it, why share my words with you? Why share my wisdom with you if you're not going to appreciate what I'm saying? Because my words matter, and I want people to listen that want to listen and that are paying attention, so that you can find your passion and find who you are and find what you love and go after it with all of your might. And that is what I did 4 years ago. Granted, it took me a long time to go and travel. I had this idea when I was in college, maybe in my teens, but it wasn't kind of a formed idea. I always had this knowing I would go and travel the world one day. And as I got older, especially in my early 20s, I was meeting a lot of foreign exchange students and learning a lot more about different cultures in college and seeing this whole new world open. And of course, me being a new person, being in a new environment and figuring out who I was without being a part of my family and being an individual person really helped me to have this better understanding of the world. And for me, I thought, how horrible would it be to be stuck somewhere for the rest of your life and not be able to see this incredible earth and not to learn it, to explore it. And honestly, I never thought I would be in my 20s traveling the world by myself. It was a dream I thought I would never be able to attain, but I made it happen. I wanted it so bad that nothing could stop me, not even myself. And my biggest thing was getting over that fear that holds us back from doing things that society tells us we cannot attain. And for me, again, it was, you must get a job after college and you must work there for the rest of your life. And you want to go up as far as you can, become a manager, become this and that. And again, it wasn't me. I couldn't understand why I disliked going into work and being forced to be with people that sometimes I really didn't like. my bosses I did not like at that time. So that propelled me into eventually, finally, really honing in on traveling and getting one of my college friends to finally come with me. And it kind of went back and forth on what we were going to do, where we were going to go, but it was finally decided on Southeast Asia, which I'm super happy. If you ever want to start traveling, I highly should suggest to start in Southeast Asia. It is very cheap, very hot, amazing weather, amazing beaches, landscape, amazing food, and the people are amazing. They're friendly, they were always there to help, so I would definitely suggest going there. And a lot of people have done it, so there's a lot of research, a lot of other people that have backpacked through it, and I think you would honestly really enjoy it. And a lot of people have started in different places around the world, but I think Southeast Asia definitely is one where a lot of people start, and it is a great starting point. So a really big point I want to make here I think the biggest thing that made me want to travel was, again, of finding who I was, who Megan was, without all of these external forces coming into my life. I wanted to be that sole person for myself. I wanted to be my best friend. I wanted to be, my partner. I wanted to find what truly brought me happiness and what I wanted to do in life. And I felt that I truly didn't know. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I was struggling. Right before I left to go on this trip, I got in a really bad car accident. And I did not help myself because I was going to PT and stopped, kind of had to. And obviously I went backpacking with about a 50-pound backpack on my shoulder that is already not in top working condition. So I do realize in the long run I did not help myself, and that did kind of hinder a lot of my first 4 months of traveling, because I did have to stop every week or so because it was a lot to carry that thing, and I was trying really, really hard to push myself to go because this had been everything I've ever dreamed of. And I didn't want, just because my body couldn't do it, that I had to stop. So I really, really, really pushed myself. And in a way, I am a little glad that I did, because even now I look back at it and I say that it helped me to really learn my body, because I started being aware of where I could push my body, where I couldn't, when I needed a break, when I felt that something, was too heavy or anything like that. And I became very aware of myself. And I do believe within traveling, it has helped me to become very self-aware of me. So I left the United States on February 22nd, 2017, and it took about 18 hours to fly to Singapore. We did have a stopover in China, and then we got to Singapore bright and early in the morning as the sun was rising, and it was so beautiful. It was amazing. It was so hot out. The great part, we actually got there and we were so close to the hostel, and we ended up asking a lady where the hostel was, and she pointed in the wrong direction, and we walked for like 30 minutes,
And we finally stopped and said, I really don't think we're going in the right direction. And we ended up going back, and it was, oh my goodness, it was so close to where we were. It was crazy. But we got there, sat all our stuff down because we couldn't check in yet, and we're just like, okay, cool, let's go walking. And right as we walked outside, it started downpouring on us. And oh my goodness, I never had such an amazing rush of, I don't even know what came over me, but it was just like, oh my God, I'm here, I'm living my dream, and it is raining, and it's so beautiful out. And it was like the rain was washing away everything from me and telling me, okay, let's start new. Let's start learning about ourselves. Let's break all of these bad habits, all of, these traumas, all of these things that are holding you back from your full potential. Let's stop doing that. However, I did not feel very good after that 18-hour flight. I didn't quite eat anything for about 2 days, even though I was wearing my C-bands. If you get sick at all, motion sickness, or if you're pregnant and have nausea, I highly suggest buying some C-bands, because I don't like taking medicine, and these things are amazing. You can get them at any Rite Aid or Walgreens. You will find them there. So what seemed so impossible was finally happening, and it was so surreal. We spent about a week in Singapore. Singapore is quite expensive, so I highly suggest not staying there for very long. We did stay at this cute hostel called the Little Red Dot, and they had capsules, and it was incredible. I did find us a couch surfing host. Now, this was our first time using couch surfing, and if you don't know what couch surfing is and you want to travel, I highly suggest you get this. They have changed a little bit, but what it is locals opening up their home for travelers to come and stay for free. Now, normally when I go and stay somewhere, I always try to at least clean their house, make them dinner, do something for them, because obviously they're welcoming me into their house, and which I love, because I love meeting the locals, and you get a whole new feeling because you're not surrounded by other travelers. You're surrounded by someone that lives there and, knows those great little places that you can go to. Our first host, he was nice. Bad situation there, and again, I will share also the bad. Well, I wouldn't say bad, this was just a learning experience for me. He did ask me to buy him pants in the US and bring them with us, and he never paid us back for them. You live and you learn, man, you live and you learn. So our second host lived in Malaysia, and he was so sweet. At the time we hadn't met him, he talked a lot to me. He had friends that worked in Singapore and got us in contact with them and actually set up for us to meet. And his friend took us all around Singapore, showed us where the gardens were, took us to all these street stalls to go eat. It was incredible. I really enjoyed it. He also booked us a bus ticket from where we were to their place. We did unfortunately miss the first bus because we could not find the place. So we did have to take the second bus, but they were super sweet and waiting for us outside. And these two amazing people, I will say their names. Their names are Eo and Pearlson. They are my soul family. They are my soul brothers. I love them. It is an unbreakable bond that I have with these two, and I really miss them a lot. But I'm so glad that the universe put them in my life. So some incredible synchronicities. So we ended up staying with them for about, I want to say, a week or so. And we helped out. Pearlson had a coffee shop, so we would just kind of help out with him while Eo went to work. And then on the weekends, Eo kind of would take us around and show us all of these cool places. They were actually going on a trip to India and had to drive up to the capital, which is Kuala Lumpur. And that's where we were heading next. And we actually had another couch surfing host there. And I am not kidding, when we got there, now KL is huge and there's so many little kind of sub-cities around there. They were like, we will take you to your new host. We want to make sure that he's okay. We don't want to leave you with him. And they were just so cute little brothers, you know, making sure that we were okay and that this person was okay. It was super sweet. Where they were staying was right across the street from our new host house. Like, how bizarre is that? It was crazy, but it was awesome because we weren't ready to depart with them. They had the next day. They showed us around KL. They took us out to breakfast. We got to meet their friends. It was amazing. And they left to go to India, and we stayed in Malaysia again. I want to say maybe about a week. We stayed about maybe 2 weeks. I'm not really sure. I'll definitely have to go look that back up. But this is where another lesson kind of hit me. And so we were staying with a host, and again, if you have not listened to my other podcast, I definitely have a lot of unresolved issues when it comes to men. So for me, when I started this journey, I did tell myself that men were kind of out the door. I wanted to get out of that toxic relationship I do tend to have with men, and with all of those different aspects, and especially with partying as well. I didn't want to get into partying, into any of that. Like, this was really about me and discovering me. So the host actually tried coming on to me, and I shut it down real quick. Yeah. But I didn't want it to be about that. So it was really very interesting when he kept introducing us to different people in his life. And it was very interesting because they all wanted, apparently, you know, a relationship with me. But, you know, then they would kind of go and sleep with someone or anyways. So it was quite very interesting. And for me, I just looked at it and said, oh my goodness, that is all these guys are after, kind of is hooking up with people, and they're not truly looking for a relationship. And for me, I didn't want to do that anymore. It wasn't what I was about, and it was definitely not what I came here to do. So a lot of those males, I just said, please move on. I'm not the girl. And obviously it was really hard because I do feel that my friend at the time was definitely in a different headspace than I was, and I see that now. Again, I will always say I'm super grateful she came with me. It was amazing. I couldn't have done it without her. Was there a lot of, issues and a lot of things? Of course. When you are stuck with someone for 24/7, there are gonna be issues. Let me tell you. And that brings me actually to our next destination, which was Thailand. We went to Krabi first, which was an amazing experience. They had a night market with live music and vendors. Oh, it was awesome. It was incredible. And next we went to Phi Phi Island. She really wanted to go there for her birthday. And for me, I was like, oh yes, it's an island. Neither one of us are gonna get lost. And at that point, we had been together 24/7 for the last, I think, month. And I'm a very alone person. I like my alone time. I love to just kind of be with myself. So at this point, I had not had a moment to myself at all, and I was kind of going a little crazy. And for me, I was like, okay, cool, it's almost her birthday. This is giving me a chance. I need to go maybe find her something. So I finally asked her, hey, I'm gonna go by myself. And yeah, so I really needed it. And it was really hard because at this time I was still really struggling. My shoulder was so messed up that I would get these really horrible migraine headaches. It was just a lot of tension, and it was really hard. They kind of put me out. And I think it was her birthday, and I just couldn't force myself out. I was having a massive headache, and this island, it is a party island. So all night long, you just hear music and loud people, and obviously it was not helping my headache at all. And of course I felt really bad that I wasn't able to celebrate with her. Oh my goodness, I forgot to mention the most amazing thing. So I'm sorry, I'm gonna rewind to the beginning of my travels because this is so profound, and this is actually what led me into traveling by myself. So within the first few hours, we met a lady from Germany who was traveling all by herself, and I had this aha moment. It just made me, oh my goodness, I'm gonna do this by myself. Before we left, I actually already had this notion that I was never coming back, but that my friend would. And I constantly kept telling her, hey, I know you're gonna leave me one day, and it's okay, I'm fine with that, like that's no problem. And it wasn't until I actually met this lady, and I met, so many incredible solo female travelers, but her in particular, I wish I remember who she was, because I just want to thank you now, because you showed me it was possible. You showed me that I could do this, and I should stop doubting myself. So I want to give a shout out to whoever you are, wherever you are. Thank you so much, because you helped me in so many ways you have no idea. Okay, so back to Thailand. So after Phi Phi Island, we went to Phuket, which was awesome. We ended up doing parasailing, which was really, really fun. And then where did we go after that? We went to Chiang Mai, which was super awesome. We met some incredible people there. We did meet some people off of couch surfing. And then we went to Pai, which is like a small little town. And that place was super, super cute. I really, really enjoyed Pai. And again, at this moment in time, I was just going with the flow. We had no plan of going to these exact locations. It was just people pointing us in that direction. We would meet random people and they would say, hey, you should go here next. We just came from there. It was beautiful. It was gorgeous. And we said, okay, why not? Why not? So that was a lot of how we ended up going from place to place and asking people, oh, how did you get there? Oh, that's how we're gonna, get there. Oh, where did you stay? Okay, that's where we're gonna stay. So it was a lot of that, just talking to people and seeing their experiences, and again, just not controlling things and just allowing things to happen, which brings me to my next thing, which was funny. So we actually got to Bangkok, and we were there for, I don't even think 30 minutes. And we just looked at each other and we're like, yeah, we don't want to explore this place. Like, so we got on our phones and booked a ticket for like the next 2 hours to leave to go to Cambodia. We were just kind of like, yeah, no. And we had just taken like a 12-hour train to Bangkok. And yeah, everything in our bone was just like, we don't want to stay here. It's a big city. We know what we're going to be getting from here. So no. Which was okay, because then our next place was Cambodia. And let me tell you, Cambodia was one of my favorite places. I fell in love with Cambodia. Just getting off the plane, I can't even explain it. This calmness washed over me. Like this sense of being kind of home washed over me. And I will say Cambodia was the poorest country that we did go to, but man, was it full of the happiest, friendliest, most amazing people I have ever met in my life. Like, these people have grins from ear to ear, just smiling. And for me, just looking around, I was amazed. I was in shock, just thinking, wow, you guys don't have that much, but yet you guys are so happy. And once I really started learning about Cambodia's history, and let me tell you, if you do not know about Cambodia's history, please go pick up a history book, go research it, because it's a crazy one. And it had me in tears. I was crying. We went to so many different museums and places to learn. I even bought a whole bunch of books there to read. I was so fascinated by it, because it didn't even happen that long ago. It happened about 40 years ago. This, dictator got control of this country and pretty much executed over half of the population of Cambodia. And yeah, it was crazy. I was astonished by it, and it was really great. And at this time, though, I will say I was getting very agitated and very emotional, because a part of me I really wanted to be alone. I needed some personal space. And after, again, constantly being stuck with someone for so long, and again, wanting to do two completely different things, because you don't always want to do the same thing with someone. Maybe they want to go here and you want to go there. Oh, they want to party, you want to go to a museum. It's really hard to find that balance and to constantly do something that everyone really wants to do. So at this point, and I feel that it was the same on her side too. And at that point, I had no idea how to properly communicate, even after many, many talks. In Cambodia, she actually did get really, really sick and had to stay inside. And it gave me my alone time. I will say, this sounds really bad, but in a way I was kind of grateful for it, because it did kind of give me that moment to honestly feel like what it would feel like if I was traveling by myself. Because at that time it was really hard to kind of meet other people and kind of do my own thing. So this gave me that chance to go out, meet people, go and do some incredible things. A really fun part about being in Cambodia is that we were there for the New Year, and their New Year tradition, so it was about 3 days long. And if you went into like the main, so we were in Siem Reap, and if you go kind of into the main square, you were gonna get doused in water and baby powder. So I don't believe, okay, one of them was, I don't know if it was the baby powder or if it was the water, and then somehow they introduced the other one, which I'm sorry, baby powder and water do not mix at all. And at times it would be painful because people would just come up and shove it in your face. And you're like, oh my God, I can't breathe. And you'd be looking for someone with water to just like spray you down, because they'd get in your eyes. Oh, and they would have menthol baby powder. Oh, that stunk so bad. But it was really awesome. They had music. It was just body to body. Everyone's just having a grand old time getting soaking wet and baby powdered. It was a great experience. I'm really happy that we got to go through that. And yeah, I feel that in Cambodia, I really got connected with myself. It opened up my spiritual side a lot more, which I'm really thankful for. And I met some incredible people there, but this was kind of me and my friend's turning point, I guess maybe for the worst, because at this point we stayed in Cambodia for a month. So we had been traveling now for maybe about 2.5 months, maybe even a little longer than that, maybe 3 months, I want to say. So again, can you imagine stuck with someone 24/7 for 3 months? Not the best. So I think both of us kind of were just at that point where I think she was also getting really tired and wanted to she started really thinking about going back home, but we had already planned to go to Vietnam and to Laos. So I do believe she wanted to finish that. So our next journey was to Vietnam, and Vietnam was hilarious. And I say that because when we got there, I really don't know why we thought this was a great idea. We had found out that a lot of people did a motorbike trip from Ho Chi Minh up to Hanoi, and we thought, we're gonna do that. We're gonna buy motorbikes and we're gonna go all the way up to the coast. I'm sorry, I have to laugh about it now because it's just funny. So we bought some motorbikes, and I'm not kidding, within an hour, I think an hour, 2 hours driving, her bike breaks down in the middle of this busy roundabout, and we went to go get it fixed. And after that, we went and ate something really quick before going again. And as we were going, I was turning out onto the road, and this motorbike just came out in front of me, and I slid and fell, and of course landed on my bad arm. And right then I feel at that moment we should have just been like, we're going back. We're just gonna turn around, go back, let's try something new. But no, in our head we said, no, we're gonna keep going, man, we're gonna keep going. So we kept going. And we drove for about 7 or 8 hours. And we were going quite slow, I'm not gonna lie. We're taking our time. And finally the sun starts going down, and we realize, it's probably about time for us to find a place. Well, we are driving. There are 2 other motorbikes near us. It's dark out, And all of a sudden, I was behind my friend and my bike just out. My chain had fallen off my bike. And I was just like, I really hope she realizes I'm not behind her anymore and turns around, because our great thinking selves did not get SIM cards so that we could communicate with each other. Oh, so many just really quick decisions we made and did not think it out. So, and this was like a really big like awareness thing for me. And I was just sitting there and with my bike, and I was like, everything's gonna be all right. And at that moment in time, some people had seen me and came out of their house. They did not speak English at all. But they saw, obviously, that my chain had broken. And this amazing person set out in search of a place that could repair my bike this late at night. And he, goes across the street, he walks down the block, and eventually he comes back to me. He turns on his motorbike and suggests for me to get on it, and he actually pushes my bike down the road to a mechanic who spoke a little bit of English, just very, very minimal, and ended up fixing my bike. And at this point, I was still alone, and I was just standing on the side of the road, and I just had a talk with my higher self, whoever you want to call him or whatever. And I just said, everything will be okay. She will come back and everything will be fine. And maybe about 30 minutes later, her bike comes on and she's crying, oh my goodness. And I'm like, it's okay. And she was like, I got down the hill and my bike stopped again and I didn't know what to do. And thankfully some other guys came and helped her get her bike started, and we finally found each other. And we're like, okay, the next hotel we see, we are stopping and staying there. And of course, as I was getting off my motorbike, I burnt myself. So not only did I slide and have, all these burn marks from sliding, now I have an exhaust pipe burn. So we got up the next day and I said, I'm done. I'm done with these motorbikes. I don't care if we lose money. I am done. I don't want to drive them anymore. They are a pain in our ass. So we got to the next major city and found someone to come and buy our bikes from us. And we got on a train, went to Hoi An, and stayed there for a little while, maybe a week or two, which was awesome. It's a great place. Had a lot of clothes made, which if you ever want to go get clothes made, I would highly suggest doing it in Hoi An or just in Vietnam in general. So after that, we ended up going up to Hanoi, where my two soul brothers actually were taking a trip there. So it was amazing that I got another chance to meet them, and we went to a whole bunch of different places with them. They only had about a week there, so we were constantly here, there, back, yeah, always on a bus. But it was awesome, and I was so happy that I got to see them again. And I think that was most definitely why I chose to go back and stay in Malaysia. So after they left, we ventured to Laos for a few weeks, which was awesome. We stayed on this little island. There was about nobody there. The other thing I really love about traveling, I always go on down seasons. Go during down seasons. It's so much cheaper and you don't have to deal with crowds and a lot of people there. You might have to deal with like downpouring rain, but it's hot. You don't mind. So after Laos, that was again when I decided, hey, I want to go back to Malaysia. We only spent a little bit of time there, and I would really love to go back there. And I just knew that, honestly, if I needed anything, that those boys would be there for me in a heartbeat, and I could just go and live with them or go hang out with them or whatever. So we did. We ended up going back to Malaysia, and she had finally booked her ticket back home. So this was after about 4 months of us traveling together, and she had finally decided to leave. And I remember the day after she left, I just started crying, and a part of me was just like, why am I crying? This is so weird. And it was crying for relief, because I had to hold on to so many things, and people's energies, and feeling what they're feeling, and it gets difficult at times. I'm not gonna lie. That's why for me, I don't like crowded places. I get so overwhelmed. I get really anxious because I'm feeling so many different energies and emotions all at once, and sometimes I really can't process them. I can't separate myself from how someone else is feeling from my own self. And that is kind of why sometimes I do, hermit crab and stay within myself a lot of the times. So after she left, I ended up volunteering at a resort in Malaysia, and within 3 days I ended up getting an actual job with them, being the volunteer coordinator, and I really enjoyed it there. It was amazing, incredible. I was constantly working my body and moving my body, constantly riding a bike, walking, just having an enormous amount of fun and just doing things that really brought me joy. And at this time, I was learning how to be alone, because I didn't have anyone. And I was with these other volunteers who had came, together. And so I was kind of there just by myself, and it was a very interesting experience to be that person I need in life at any given moment, and wearing all different hats, and knowing that everything I need is right inside of me, and I can pull it out when I need it. And I really enjoyed, because this resort was out in nature. It was really beautiful, and the concept was incredible. However, it definitely got once money kind of started coming in, the owners went a whole different route. Instead of it kind of being eco-friendly, it was just kind of a cash machine, which sucked, because they were doing such a great job with, everything was bamboo, everything was sustainable. It was really awesome. So, but it was really fun. I'm glad that I got that experience and got to be there. I met some incredible people in that place, and I had a hard time sometimes. I really did. I remember one thing really weird about being in Asia is, okay, first of all, being fat is a good thing. You're looked at as like being wealthy and lucky and stuff. I never really had a problem with my weight. I always accepted my body the way that it was. In Asia, it was really hard to not feel bad. I had two strangers, I swear to God this happened, one time in Vietnam, one in Malaysia. One time this guy was just walking next to me, I have no idea who he is, and just rubs my belly, and I'm like, who the fuck are you? Like, what are you doing? Like, and just smiles at me, and I'm just like, I don't even know what to do in this situation. I really don't even know what to do in this situation. So when I was in Malaysia, it happened a lot that they kept calling me fat. And okay, they were saying it in their language. And I don't know, I just knew it didn't mean something nice. And they were like, oh, no, it does. It means like cute fat. And I'm like, that's not nice. Like, what is that? So, it was really hard for my self-esteem, like constantly hearing every single day that I was fat. And again, I get it came from like a loving place, because to them, like, you know, being bigger is good and everything. But it was just hard, like, why do you always point it out every day? I don't need you to, you know, comment on it. So that was a little difficult, but, you know, again, it taught me to be there for myself and not allow other people to affect how I view myself. And I loved myself, and I liked my body, and I wasn't gonna let anyone tell me differently. So after this, I obviously really wanted to get into being more active, and something I really wanted to do was to become a yoga teacher. And okay, I really more wanted to do it for myself, because it had really helped me heal my body. And I would definitely do a whole podcast on my healing process of my body. So I wanted to do that, and I went to India. I said, alright, my 3 months in Malaysia's up. I'm gonna go to India for a month. And I did. I went to New Delhi first, just for a few days, and went to Rishikesh and stayed there for about a month. And wow, did India have... It was the happiest I've ever been in my life. Granted, if you have listened to my other podcast, you'll know India, I was going through a lot there. And within that, I discovered deeply a lot of different things. And I think one of my biggest revelations that I discovered in India was, one, how badly I would miss being Megan, because I've really loved living Megan's life. Like, Megan is a badass. She does what she wants. She beats to her own drum, and I love her for that. I love her for always having, you know, this spunk and this childness and this love and compassion, and just seeing that positivity in life and going after what I truly desire in this life and chasing my dreams. And I love being me. It's been awesome. I know I've gone through some hard times, but fudge, many people have never been outside of their city, their country. I mean, oh my goodness, I've seen so much. I've lived so much life just by going to those places, and I just kept going. So India definitely was an awakening experience, but it was also a very traumatic experience for me. It was, you know, I had to go through a lot of self-discovery, a lot of letting go and forgiving myself, and that was really hard to do. So after that, I did go home for a little while, and for about 6 weeks, and then I realized I wanted to go back to Malaysia. By that time, I'd been gone for 9 months, and I went back home, sold my car, went back, and ended up staying at the resort for a little while. Some I knew I should have listened to my gut. I told myself I was not going to stay at the resort again. I did, and it bit me in the butt. And that's okay. It just tells me I need to listen to my intuition more and listen to that inner guidance telling me what to do and knowing what's best for me. No, it's not leading me astray. So I went into the capital and started volunteering at a hostel there, and within a week became the manager and ended up staying there for about 3 months. And that is when I finally said I was done with hostels, hotels, whatever, because it was a really party hostel, and it was a lot. It was right in the downtown where Pub Street was, so, drunk people all the time. There was a restaurant there. It was a lot, and I wanted to do something different, and I loved that I knew I was really good at what I was doing and could do it anywhere I wanted, but I wanted a challenge. And that was when I decided to go to Indonesia, and I went to Jakarta, I went to Bandung, which was amazing. I really loved Indonesia. I stayed with incredible families, and I started kind of teaching English a little bit, just seeing if I would kind of like it. And so when I went back to Malaysia after a month of Indonesia, I went to go stay with my brothers for a while, and I ended up getting my TEFL certificate while I was helping at Carlson's coffee shop. And finding this other passion, I always wanted to be a teacher, but I just think teachers here in America, one, don't get paid what they need to, and the fact that they cannot teach the way they want to teach is beside me. So I said, no thank you. So after getting my TEFL certificate, I really wanted to do something with it. I did actually end up going back to Indonesia for a month, but I ended up being a yoga instructor, and I really enjoyed it. But for me, I really like doing yoga as my personal journey, not to do with other people, because I feel like I would go outside of myself. And then that too, again, I feel all those energies and what I'm trying to practice for myself. So I found, okay, yoga is not what I want to teach, so maybe let's go with this English thing. I did go back to Malaysia for a little while and ended up going to Vietnam and finding a place to volunteer there teaching English. And I was there for about 3 weeks, 3 months. I did really enjoy it. However, my body said, no way, Jose. I ended up getting eczema there, which I've never had eczema in my life. And yeah, my body was like, no. So even that, I really had to listen to my body and notice that, hey, this place does not agree with, your body. And at this time, I became very aware of my body and what I needed at any given time. And especially with traveling, I loved how active I was. I was constantly moving. I was eating very good, especially in Asia, eating a lot of fruits and vegetables that are, from the farm, and they're just so delicious. Oh gosh, I missed the fruit there, man, so much. But I decided I really, really loved teaching. I really enjoyed it. But I also realized that I really loved Malaysia. It was just the place that I think captured my heart. I had my brothers there. I had a hometown I could kind of go back to anytime I wanted or needed, that comfort of home. So I ended up finding a teaching job in Malaysia and staying there. I found a place. I ended up working at the first school for about 7 months or so. A lot of stuff happened if you had not listened to my last podcast. Also, a lot of traumatic stuff that happened at that time. And I just felt like I did not mesh well with the school. They did not have my best interest at heart. I did take away great friendships from there, amazing friendships that I will have forever. But it was time to move on, and I met an amazing woman that has her own school, and I got to become a principal there. And, you know, that right there just showed me that I'm unstoppable. Like, again, whatever I set my mind to, I can reach to the top. I can succeed at whatever I put my mind to. And I just kept doing that. And I really loved that school. And at this time, you know, I had a great job, great friends, great boyfriend. But I did tell myself I only wanted to live in Malaysia for a year. And, you know, after that year, I was so depressed. I was not happy anymore. And, you know, something inside of me was just like, why are you not happy? This is crazy. What do you mean you're not happy? And I realized because, again, I was never meant for this system. I was never meant to work this 9-to-5 job, to have a boss. I was meant to be my own boss and to lead other people. And, you know, that's what I'm working on, and that's what I love to do. And I just was picturing my life, and I said, this isn't me. This isn't what I want. And I can't keep trying to fit myself inside of this box that I don't fit inside of, because I'm not going to be happy doing it. So I decided to leave. After a year, I went to Taiwan for 3 months, and that was, I really loved Taiwan. Taiwan was incredible. I met amazing people, and I actually started doing online teaching at this time too, which was a great source of income and helped me travel. I will say definitely it is a great way to earn money, especially while traveling. Just be aware, I did think it would give me a lot of flexibility, but then for me it was really hard because I couldn't stay at hostels, or I would have to have my own room. I had to have great internet connection. You had to have a quiet place. So all these different restrictions kind of came in when I did teach while I was, you know, traveling from place to place. So after Taiwan, I was sitting in Taiwan and thinking, okay, I've done Asia, I've lived here now, you know, for 2.5 years. What now? Like, what is next for Megan? What can we do? What can we go somewhere? Can we break out of this mold? Like, let's keep learning, let's keep growing, let's keep exploring. Because I didn't feel like I wanted to live in Malaysia forever. So I decided I'm going to Europe. That's it. I'm going. I booked a ticket. I booked wherever was the cheapest, which ended up being Greece. And I'm really glad I started in Greece. I loved Greece. Went back to Malaysia, said goodbye to everyone, and headed to Europe. I stayed in Greece for about a month, volunteering with an incredible family. Oh, I love them. They were amazing. Treated me so well, cooked amazing vegan meals almost every day for me. They really touched my heart. I really enjoyed them. I was really sad that this pandemic happened and I wasn't able to go back and see them, because that was my plan, to go back and see them during the summer. So after that, I actually ended up going to Albania. And in Albania, I got solitude. I was in a small town, Himara, and it was down season. So, and I was at a work away. If you don't know what Workaway is, it's kind of like couch surfing, but for volunteers. So businesses allow you to come in and exchange your time for food and accommodation, which are the most expensive things while traveling. So when you don't have those costs, it's awesome. So anyways, my job, this was the easiest Workaway ever, was to turn off the lights at nighttime and turn them off in the morning and turn them on in the nighttime. That was about it, because there were no guests. I had this whole entire apartment to myself for almost a month, and I loved it. But I spent Christmas by myself, I spent New Year's by myself, and it was amazing. It was a transformative year for me. That's when I launched my website, was on New Year's. I said, look, I'm not gonna go and do what I normally do. I want to do something for me and what I love to do. And so I started my own blog. I started creating a website, and on New Year's Day I launched it. And I don't know, I loved the routine I got into. I would wake up really early in the morning, go down to the beach because it was a block away, just stroll down by the beach, go read a book, write in my journal down there. I would go to the little market, buy some vegetables, just all the produce of the day. And I would go home, cook some meals. Then I would have usually class. I would have to teach for about an hour and a half. Maybe I would go out walking again, but by that time it would get dark, and there I didn't want to walk by myself at nighttime. Before I got to Himara, it was like 4 a.m. when we reached there, and I did not know where to go, and it was pouring down rain. Nobody on the street, like nothing was open, absolutely nothing. And I was like, oh my goodness. Finally, after like 20 minutes, I found a place to kind of just huddle under, and I saw someone get in their car and start it, and I ran up to them trying to ask, and they don't speak English. Thankfully, as I am asking him, 2 police officers are walking by, and I stopped them, and thankfully they spoke English. And one of them was so kind and took me to the place. It was super sweet. I was super thankful. The universe always provides when you ask, when you calmly just let it go. That has happened many times during my travels. When I get so worked up, I'm just like, no, take a deep breath. It'll all work out. Someone will come and help me. Someone will see that I need help, and it always happened. Everyone was so willing to help me, and I really, really enjoyed that about my travels. How kind people can be, how many people just want to open up their home and share with you, and just have a lovely meal with you, and just talk to you. That is one of my favorite things, is meeting so many different people from so many different ways of life, and just connecting on being human and living these experiences and going through the motions and dealing with them and learning different things. It's incredible. So, I'm still astonished by how much I've learned from traveling, and again, how much joy it has brought me. Even when I just talk about it, I have so many stories. I could never just put them in one podcast. The fact right now, me trying to shorten my travels is so hard, because there's so much I'm missing out. I mean, in all those different places. Oh my goodness, I've gone through so much. So if any one of these countries particularly hits you, you can definitely tell me, and I will tell you all about that place. So after Albania, I had 24 hours in Austria, which was pretty awesome. And then I went to Poland to go volunteer as an English mentor. I don't want to say teacher. We were more mentors. We would just have, I love this program because it was just an immersion, and you would just talk. That was it. You would talk all day to people. Most of them were from Poland. I think we had one Italian guy. And that was really amazing. I really, really enjoyed the time I spent there for 2 weeks. And I purposefully ran into this person. But someone I volunteered with in Malaysia, she was back in Poland, and I ended up meeting her. That's one thing I love, is when I meet someone halfway across the world and then I meet them back somewhere else. It's incredible how that happens. To all of you out there that I've met before, I hope I run into you again, because you all definitely are amazing people, and I've loved being able to run into each and every one of you. You have impacted me in so many different ways. So after Poland, I did Europe very, very quickly. I'm not gonna lie. It was winter time. Europe is expensive, and I needed to start teaching again. So I took about a two-month break from teaching to get Europe done. So then I went to Germany. I went to Denmark to see my Denmark mom. I went to the Netherlands, Belgium, France, and then Italy. And I really actually enjoyed Italy. I ended up volunteering down in Napoli, and it was beautiful. I really enjoyed it. I wish I could have stayed longer. However, my visa was expiring at this time because you only get a certain amount of months in the Schengen zone, so I needed to leave. However, this was when the pandemic started kind of kicking up. So I got out of Italy about just a few days, I think a day before it went down into lockdown. So I got out just in the nick of time, and I went to Croatia, and that is where I had my lockdown experience, getting stuck inside of a small hostel on the 3rd floor in a little town called Split in the middle of the city. It was a crazy experience. That taught me that you never know people's true colors sometimes, but that you just have to let things go. I really am excited that I got stuck in Split. It was a beautiful place, it was a beautiful country, and I really enjoyed being there. It taught me a lot about not getting affected by other people. It was really hard to kind of be stuck there with all these very big personalities, and I know I have a very big personality. I'm not always a peach to get along with, but I really am huge on communication, and that is something throughout my travels I've learned, is how to communicate with people. And that's what I loved about living in Asia, was that I had to really, really think about what I say before I say it. And it made me become so intentional with my words. And I loved the fact that I wasn't this rambling machine that talked a mile a minute anymore, but I could actually slow down, think about what I'm going to say before I'm going to say it, so that I'm very intentional with my word and know what I'm going to say and have meaning behind it. And a lot of us have very meaningless conversations, conversations just full of nonsense, like nothing that makes sense. So I definitely feel that I learned a lot just in those short 3 months, and I'm really glad I had those 3 months, especially before I came back here to the US, because it made me set up, that kind of bubble around me, and that says I'm not going to allow other people to affect me. My personal stuff is my personal, and I'm the only one that can deal with it. You're the only one that can deal with it. But guess what? A lot of that was setting up boundaries. Little by little, every time I come home, I set up more and more boundaries with people, and it's sticking with that. But then it's learning how to communicate, how not to take things so personal. And I know sometimes my ego definitely gets in the way, still gets hurt, still gets butt hurt, comes that 16-year-old self who feels sorry for herself, and but I need to be that different person. And throughout my travels, I've had to take on so many different roles, and because that was all I had. All I had out there was me. And I loved that. I loved finding that balance within myself and finding all these different roles that I can become, because I don't think that one individual has one specific role. I think we all have very different roles, and that these are skills that we can learn and grow and adapt and become. But we have to first be aware of them. We have to be aware of ourselves. And it's amazing how much just traveling has brought me to this point and brought me to such an awareness of life and of what I truly want out of it. And realizing that whatever I want, I can make it happen. I will make it happen. And that I want you to know you can definitely make it happen. 100%. Because if I can, you can. If thousands of other people are also doing it, you can too. Just stop letting fear control you. It is crazy how much we allow one single emotion to run our whole life. But we allow a lot of emotions to run our life instead of taking back our control and realizing that our emotions are not who we are, the same as our experiences are not who we are. We are our own individual person that is growing, adapting, changing, evolving, and we have to just accept that. The world is constantly changing before us every second of every single day. So would you rather change with it, or would you rather stay the same and be stuck in the same cycle and living that same nightmare every single day? I don't want to. And that is why I push myself to keep going forward. But with respecting the here and the now and being as present as possible. And again, when we're not being present, it's bringing our attention back to doing something we're passionate about, because when you're doing something you're passionate about, you are more focused on the here and the now and respecting it for what it is and what it is trying to guide you to do, and becoming more in tune with our body and our mind and our soul, and just being in harmony with ourselves. Because honestly, once I stopped doing what everyone else told me to do and I started living for myself, that's when I found that joy, that happiness, that love and light. I found it all because I started doing what Megan wanted to do, what Megan was supposed to do, what Megan is always going to do, and that is to beat to my own drum and to do the things that I want to do and that no one else can take away from me, because in this life all we have are moments and experiences, and I would rather create those long-lasting memories and experiences rather than you going to work all day every day and for what, to go home and watch this screen. Like, oh, what a boring life. you could be living it. You could be doing that stuff you see on TV, having an incredible story. I mean, I love my story. I love telling my story. I love sharing my story because I've made an awesome story. But I've done that. I have created it all. And it's discovering that we have so much power and we have to tap into that power because we are the creators of our reality. And until we really firmly grasp that concept, we're never going to do anything about it. So I hope that in this amazing me talking about my travels and how it has helped me uncover so many different things. I know I'm sorry it went back and forth with all different concepts just because there's so much to talk about my travels. And if I kept talking, if I told you every little bit, I think we'd be on here for days. So just a gist of what is to come, and know that, Teach, Travel, Talk is that. It's talking about life and what it has to offer. And my biggest thing is traveling through this life, traveling beyond what we were meant to do here, but travel through time and space and all these vibrations and manifestation and changing and evolving and teaching each other about life and about how we can help each other be these successful goddesses, unicorns, and queens, because we are deserving, we are love, and the feminine energy needs to be more prominent in this life. Males need to tap back into their feminine side. We need that loving, nurturing, compassionate side to everyone. If we want this world to heal, if we want to heal, we have to respect our Mother Earth, and that is respecting ourselves and the Mother within ourselves, and nurture ourselves back to a loving place. And I really